What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we are taking a look at an absolutely amazing hunter build. Quite possibly the best Void Hunter build in the entire game. Even better than the Omnioculus. And this build features the new and improved Gyrfalcon's Hauberk. This unique and beautiful exotic chess piece saw some minor reworks to its intrinsic trait, which have made it exponentially more top tier than it already was. And when paired up with the right Void 3.0 aspects and fragments, this build is absolutely indestructible. An absolutely perfect Void Hunter build to take into the most challenging activities. You will truly be a PvE god when putting on this Gyrfalcon's build. Gyrfalcon's Hauberk comes with one of the most unique exotic traits called See Me, Feel Me. Your Void weapons gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible. When you are invisible and defeat a combatant while using a finisher, all of your weapons gain bonus damage. You and your nearby allies gain a reserve overshield and improved class ability regeneration. These reserve overshields can be deployed by using a class ability. This exotic provides a lot of benefits, so we're going to break down each one of these in more detail so you can understand how overpowered this exotic chess piece truly is when matched up with the Void 3.0 subclass. Now, before we dig further into today's video, if you do end up enjoying and finding it helpful, then please be sure to hit the like button below along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. Now that we've looked at the in-game description for Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, let's look further into what each one of these benefits provides. Starting with volatile rounds. After emerging from invisibility, you'll have 10 seconds of volatile rounds granted to any of your Void weapons. Typically, you would need to rely on defeating enemies with your grenade to receive volatile rounds. So this eliminates that and grants those volatile rounds immediately after emerging from invisibility. When performing a finisher while invisible, even the finisher itself will get granted volatile rounds. And if you do finish an enemy while invisible, you will receive a 35% increase to all weapon damage for 6 seconds. And on top of this damage bonus, you and your allies will receive a reserve overshield that will grant you 40 health back whenever used. And you can activate it by using your class ability. And if this exotic wasn't doing enough already, whenever you do finish an enemy while invisible and receive an overshield, you and your allies also receive a bonus to your class ability regeneration of 375%. The reserve overshield that's granted to you and your allies will remain until you die or use your class ability, and once it's activated, it'll last for up to 10 seconds. Some extraordinary perks that the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk provides, and when these are paired up with the right combination of Void 3.0 aspects and fragments, this build is just downright insane, absolutely broken. Because once you've put this build together, you'll be able to easily spam volatile rounds, invisibility, and overshields, giving you and your allies the survivability that you need to take on some of the most challenging activities that Destiny has to offer. The true synergy of this build begins with the Void aspect called Stylish Executioner. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack, while invisible, weakens targets. Now this is going to be very handy because it pairs up beautifully with Trapper's Ambush. Activate Quick Fall to spend your melee charge and dive to the ground, performing a blast that will damage the enemies around you, creating a large smoke cloud on impact. Targets caught within the cloud are weakened already just because of Trapper's Ambush, and allies are also made invisible. Your smoke bomb will also make allies invisible when it attaches to nearby surfaces or targets, so you can still use the throwable smoke bomb, but you have the option to activate Trapper's Ambush whenever you have a smoke bomb available. An action that I really do prefer to make, and I think makes this build so much better, is when you use Trapper's Ambush. And let's not forget that when you go invisible and re-emerge, all of your weapons are already getting volatile rounds. And since your enemies are already weakened, you're going to be able to perform stylish executions, immediately getting your invisibility back. And by using Gambler's Dodge, your class ability will regenerate melee energy whenever you use it near enemies, allowing you to quickly dodge and then perform your Trapper's Ambush. By combining this with Echo of Leeching, whenever you defeat an enemy with Trapper's Ambush, it'll trigger health regeneration for you and your teammates, as well as give you 10 extra points in resilience, which will definitely help out in the more challenging activities. By using Echo of Expulsion, all of your Void ability final blows, including your Trapper's Ambush, will cause targets to explode, emitting a large amount of damage to nearby enemies within a 7-meter radius, and this also gives you 10 extra points in Intellect. Since we don't have to burn a Void Fragment to get volatile rounds, we can use Echo of Persistence. Void buffs applied to you, such as Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour, have increased duration, which will extend the invisibility that you get from Stylish Executioner, as well as extend the Overshield that you get from Gearfalcon's Hauberk. Which brings me to another crucial point about this build, is its synergy alongside weapons that come with Repulsor Brace. This is an incredibly underrated weapon perk that provides a very unique benefit. On weapon kills against an enemy affected by a Void debuff, such as the weakening effects that we'll be applying to many of our enemies. When doing so, we'll get an Overshield for 8 seconds at its base, but because of our fragment choices, we'll get it for 10 seconds, and we'll refresh every time we get a kill, just as our invisibility will when Stylish Executioner is active, giving you an extremely lethal combination, from going invisible to receiving volatile rounds and an Overshield, along with a damage bonus as well. And don't forget about the boost to class ability regeneration. Repulsor Brace can be found on several different heavy and energy Void weapons, including the Aikilo's Hand Cannon and the Unforgiven SMG. Weapons with Repulsor Brace are crucial to this build, as they will immensely improve your survivability, whether it's in PvE or PvP. Now that we've addressed the aspects and fragments to this build, let's take a look at the armor mods that you'll want to use in combination. And with the exception of a few artifact mods, the mods that we're using with this build should be pretty easily accessible mods for everybody. In fact, most of these mods should be ones that you already have. We're using Melee Wellmaker along with Elemental Armaments. This way, whenever we defeat enemies with Trapper's Ambush or with Void weapons, we'll create Void Wells. Creating wells will be very important because it's going to allow us to trigger Font of Might, which is going to give us an additional increase to our Void weapon damage, an increase of 25%, which lasts for 10 seconds. This will also give us the ability to use Well of Tenacity, which will double down on our resistance and survivability, as will provide you with damage resistance for 4 seconds after picking up a well. By using Well of Utility, whenever you pick up a well, you'll also receive more class ability energy, allowing you to perform your combination of dodge and Trapper's Ambush far more often. Bountiful Wells would be another great mod to use here, as it would provide you with 2 wells instead of 1. Melee Kickstart would be another great mod, a Stasis mod, which would provide you with an additional 15% melee energy whenever that energy is expunged. Focusing Strike will be a great Void Arms mod to use, as it will grant class ability energy whenever you cause damage with a melee attack, including your Trapper's Ambush. And to be able to regenerate your super quicker, if you use the Void Helmet Armor mod called Dynamo, it'll reduce your super cooldown whenever you use your class ability near targets. If you're using the Harmonic Siphon Helmet mod to create orbs, you should also consider using the Insulation Void Leg mod, which will provide you with class ability energy whenever you pick up an orb. Since you'll be performing several finishers, there are quite a few class item mods that provide unique benefits when performing a finisher, such as the Snapload Finisher, which reloads all of your weapons when performing a finisher. The last 2 mods that I want to talk about today are exclusive to the seasonal artifact and will go away when the season ends. The first mod I want to talk about is Monochromatic Maestro. This costs 6 energy and goes on your class item. Dealing matching elemental weapon damage increases matching elemental ability damage by 10% for 6 seconds. So whenever you deal out Void weapon damage, your Void abilities are going to get an increased damage, and vice versa. Dealing matching elemental ability damage increases matching elemental weapon damage by 10% for 6 seconds. This is an extraordinary combination of synergy between your weapons and your abilities, and it's a great mod to use, but it is only available for this season. Which brings us to Solo Operative, another artifact mod that'll go away at the end of the season, but it provides you with a 15% increase to weapon and ability damage, and this stacks with everything, just as Monochromatic Maestro. So that'll be on top of the weapon bonus damage that you receive from Gear Falcons and on top of what you receive from Font of Might, and is just one of the many reasons that this build is absolutely broken, absolutely indestructible, making you a PvE god when using this Gear Falcon Hauberk build. And that concludes today's video on the best Void Hunter build for Season of the Seraph. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts of the Gear Falcon's Hauberk are, and if you've been using this build already, and if so, what your impressions are. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then please be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're in need of help throughout this season, maybe with a raid, a dungeon, Nightfall, or anything else, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.